And action.
Update. And dude, oh my god, I'm here for it. This is the type of shit I expected when looking at the Steam page for the game, you know? Like, just...
By God, did they deliver. I know what you're here for. Because I'm here for the same thing, and you'll get your answer in time. For the people that aren't following along, IV is a massive update to the game YIIK, or YIIK, I guess. It's a game that me and many others have become pretty attached to, despite most of us agreeing that its flaws outweigh its strengths. It prides itself on being surreal and bizarre, so if you even want a chance at understanding this video, you'll have to know pre-IV YIIK. Go watch one of the many hour-long videos on it before this one. Despite it being pretty complicated, pre-IV YIIK left me in a surprisingly shallow state. I was pleased with the scope of the game. Not much else. This is sad, because the game asks questions that are completely unlike any other. That is to say, YIIK is, and always was, extremely unique and creative. And this rings true tenfold for IV. I didn't expect much out of IV. I expected better combat, and a better story, whatever better is in this context. I'll rip this one off here, because I don't have much else to add to it. The combat is much better. Insanely better. I'm thinking about my options. They have weight. Even though it was really easy to find a broken setup, it was genuinely fun, and this alone makes the game so much easier to recommend. Combat now revolves around Karta. As long as they remain in your hand, you get the extra health, their effects, their stats, but you can also choose to spend the card for a stronger one-time use effect. Elements are reintegrated, PP is now party-wide, there's a lot of just good adjustments. I actually think this system has crazy high potential. Although I don't quite think it was reached, it was still more than enough to wash the taste of the old system out of my mouth. Okay, let's take this here. This is the new mine dungeon. You run around and explore and find new cards here, and to level up you simply talk to this guy and choose stats. How novel. I'm not sure if it's intentional or not, but they ended up literally fossilizing the old mine dungeon. Very cool. The changes to the story aren't as easily summarized though. In short, it leans more into the, as I used to put it, reality-breaking bullshit. I'm sure everyone agrees that YIIK really had this going for it, so it's satisfying to see it being pulled on a bit more. Like, this stuff leaves impressions, and I'm willing to believe most of them hold meaning too. I only spotted a few of those myself. A lot of cutscenes are changed, and there's new cutscenes that introduce new lore altogether, but the old story is still there in full. The problems I had with it are still mostly there. There are these weird cutscenes where Michael's talking to a skibidi toilet cameraman about Alex and his absolute hatred. He monologues about how he manipulates people into thinking the same as him. This way he always wins. Makes sense. Their little selves. And in each of these, Alex, and cut. Are you a parallel version of Alex? That's right. You're not. It's not over. Not yet. The game is, not the story. Welcome to YIIK II. Everything I've said so far is true. Those are changes made to YIIK in the IV update, and my honest thoughts on them. The amount of new content in the game is astounding, and I'll be the first to admit that I really don't understand everything that happens in the story. The main beats are clear, they're pretty extensively described, but in true YIIK fashion, this short video would not do the whole thing justice. I'm just saying this now. All of this is based on my interpretation. My limited interpretation. By far the biggest and most interesting changes to YIIK IV are made to the story. It's true that the game YIIK itself is more or less the same, but surrounding it are two whole additional experiences, let's call them. These feature different gameplay and characters, but they're all connected. One of those other experiences is YIIK II, which you unlock by denying that you are a parallel version of Alex. This stinks of retcon, but even since pre-IV I've sort of felt this to be the case, so it's not that egregious. Since there's not really a world to follow anymore, YIIK 2 provides context and explanations for concepts and ideas surrounding the world and the story, like the Allison man and memes. Yeah, no, like the psychological, cultural type of meme. Memes are ideas and concepts that spread from one person to another by simply being used, and they impact the way we think and act. For example, saying bless you. Someone started doing it, it caught on, and now everyone does it instinctually. This is tame. It doesn't hurt anyone, but imagine if the meme did. Boys don't cry, you only live once. These memes can be hurtful, and often contribute to stunting personal growth. YIIK 2 makes a point of fighting against these bad memes, urging players to think about what they're doing, to think about the memes they're propagating. Because if you don't, if you let bad memes pile up, they'll ruin your life. Your reality will fall apart. So much symbolism is elaborated upon in YIIK 2. Just take the Essentia. From IV alone, I conclude that she represents obsession, and in manipulating the ones that give into the obsession, she forces harmful memes to fester and grow inside of them. Now, let me be clear about this. This shit is surface level. It goes deeper, a lot deeper, but once again, I'm not sure how to interpret the depths of YIIK IV. Not in a video, and in some ways, not even cognitively. It's true though, YIIK was always a story about obsession and personal growth. By obsessing over the Essentia and Sammy, Alex's life fell apart, his reality was destroyed. What IV does is more or less widen the scope and take a peek behind it all. Like, what the fuck is Michael's deal? These new cutscenes with him are just the tip of the iceberg. The whole stitched into this reality thing he had going on in pre-IV is made into a vital plot point here. Long story short, in all realities, Alex is made responsible for the disappearance of Allison, his own sister. Michael cares because he fell in love with Allison. More than that, he became obsessed with her. He now wants nothing more than to kill Alex, in every reality if he must. That's right, that makes Michael a misguided antagonist, something that's wonderfully hinted at by his gameplay. Whenever all his allies are dead or blind, he draws his gun. That's actually cool. Allison and Carrie. Pretty similar, only that base game YIIK only ever acknowledges Carrie. Lucky for us though, the third experience of YIIK IV has Allison covered. Interspersed between the chapters of a base game YIIK IV, this is getting complicated, are these sections where you play as the nameless child, who loses her name after falling into the blackened pond at the hands of the bad brother and wants to go find the good brother. These things are important for the game, but not relevant right now. These sections expand on tons of lore, so much so that it really isn't realistic for me to cover it all. But they do tackle Alex's past and his family relations, bringing to light how Allison was emotionally abused in their household. This was so nice to see. It's nice that it adds to the game, not that it's emotional abuse. Like, maybe I'm just a little bit simple, but this honestly did a lot for the characters to me. At the end of YIIK 2, a final section begins that brings all experiences together. You, or me, I guess, in the form of the nameless child. Listen, it's a long story. Save the characters, who are all hooked by the Essentia, by showing them their respective truths and giving them closure. You act as Carrie and play with Rory, and you help Chandra get over her lost twin, despite them knowing it's really you, or me. This was pretty, I have nothing else to say. All of this contributes to helping the characters break free from the influence of the Essentia, at which points they break her, and then we break the Allison man. And
there are no parallel realities.
Wait, what? Yeah, I'm not sure I buy this one, because I literally can't. I know it's supposed to be hard to imagine, but I literally cannot imagine the game going down the way it did without the concept of parallel realities being real. But whatever. The game is over. That's that. Well, one ending at least. Here's the deal. Hopefully you've realized by now that IV has added tons. Even lore that was always there is much more digestible and approachable now. I might have made this apparent in my last video, but I really don't care much for the spirit of postmodernism or whatever. If your game's whole deal is that it's hard to understand, that most people aren't gonna get the story, it needs something else to keep me playing. This was like the fundamental problem I had with YIIK. The gameplay just felt like a chore. Pre-IV had boring gameplay, somewhat flat characters, and of course, a pretty unsatisfying story at large. I think IV has remedied all of this, and in the process, made the game flourish with identity. It could be reasoned before, but now it's said with absolute certainty. YIIK is one of a kind, and there's nothing like it, and I'm not sure there ever will be. I really like YIIK IV. I do. I think it's a good game. I found myself playing it for fun and out of interest rather than obligation like I honestly thought I would. It's talked about perspectives and personal growth and like, yeah, that's an RPG, alright? It's still hard to recommend, but that's because the game is weird. It's not a quality issue anymore. Not to me. I know, I've said this like 4 times by now, but there really is actually so much left to IV. I could never make it justice in a video. I really don't think I could. It's complicated, and it's left me in a surprisingly complex state. I'm impressed with the scope of the game. And a lot else. So all of this entire video is just to say, act cooked. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. So IV genuinely made me think about obsession a bit. And yeah, I've had some obsessions in the past, so I figured I'd leave some thoughts here. Like in case anyone needs to hear it, I don't know, man. It's all in the mind, right? Like, yeah, obviously, but if you're also struggling, think about that. It's all in your mind, and everything you do in your mind that interacts with the physical world is biased by your psyche. Okay, this is a lot of babble. Let me put it like this. You become what you think. Addictions, I mean, they're not really obsessions, but they've been proven to be based on your own cognition of yourself. If you, consciously or subconsciously, see yourself as an addict or obsessor, you'll become one. This is what I mean. There's one gigantic hole, one massive flaw in obsession, and that's you. Your own perspective of yourself is a single source of failure, for the whole obsession thing. And at least that's what I think. I know it might not be easy, but you gotta try. You gotta fight hard. Make sure you have a sound mind. Take care of it. I think that's really what it comes down to. So yeah, no, take care. I mean that. See you next time. Bye bye.